What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream of Let's Get Nuts on the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. Today we've got actually a pretty packed show sheet, and I don't have a ton of time. You guys can see behind me, I've got nothing in my display cases, and that's because I'm getting ready to move. And so I've got realtors coming in about 2 hours, which means we've got a good hour and 45 minutes of getting nuts before I need to piece the heck out. So today we're going to talk a little bit about John Wick 5. We're going to talk a little bit about Spiderman, the PS5 or I should say Spider-Man 2 PS5 version that we've seen some spoilers for. I'm really excited about that game. We've got lots of Hot Toys news to cover, as well as some third-party review figures to go over as well. And we do have Pete in the back room as well with me. It's going to be a good show, so stick around. If you guys like the show, hit the like button for me. If you are new to the channel, smash subscribe. It's definitely appreciated. And let's get nuts.
Come on, let's get nuts.
I give you Ben Thomas.
Showtime.
Here we go.
Alrighty. Mr. Pete from Collecting Weekly, Only Fools in Collecting. Good to see you here, buddy. We missed you last week, by the way.
Yeah, no, I appreciate all the good thoughts and kind words as well. Yeah, no, I did miss you guys as well, and yeah, good to be back. Good to be back. It looks like it's a two-hander tonight, so.
Two-hander tonight. More people may still join. I mean, I sent out the link to a lot of folks. You never know. I think it's with the hot weather, the sun, and everything. People are like, maybe I should get some sun today and watch the show later. So,
it was beautiful here as well. I played a bit of tennis tonight and just chilling now. So yeah.
That's awesome, buddy. Well, thanks for joining. I know you had your a job interview last week. Any word back yet, or?
Yeah, no, it wasn't to be that one. But moving on, all good experience. So yeah, no, that's well, yeah.
Always good.
But anyway,
practice,
it was yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, it's a long time since I think it's like 16 years since I interviewed for a job, yeah, it was good to kind of get back into it. So yeah, there's nothing's wasted. It's all good experience. So.
Fair enough. I mean, if you need to put me down as a Canadian reference, I'm willing to take a phone call. Be like, I've worked with Pete now on at least 11 shows. You know, it's been real good. He's very consistent.
His attendance is pretty good. It was 100%, but
it was. Well, that's okay. We'll tick it back up there. No worries.
Yeah.
So like I said, Pete, in the intro there, we got a ton of stuff to talk about today. Not a crazy amount of time, but I don't want to rush through anything either. You know, worst case scenario, if we miss something, we can always put it on the show sheet next week. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, we got a lot of folks in the community who cover a lot of the good stuff we'll chat with today. But I definitely want to take it at a bit of a different angle and see what your thoughts are, especially because you're so matter-of-fact. And I know people appreciate that. Not always the crazy rainbows and positivity. It's nice to have a bit more of a real take there. So yeah, if anybody who is new to the Ben Thomas Show or you're watching on replay, we've had a lot of subscribers in the last couple days, so take a look over at the Collecting Weekly YouTube channel. This is, of course, what their logo looks like, and Pete here, he runs essentially a podcast within that, a playlist called Only Fools in Collecting, or OFAC, with his buddy Ian. They are awesome to listen to, real funny, and they tend to have streams, at least for us, or at least for me over in Canada, somewhere like around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's always a good time to like catch it on my way home from work, or at least in the business day. So check these guys out. Pete, thanks. I want to check in with the chat real quick. Now, I mean, we're just getting started, so I'm sure we'll have a few more people rolling in here. We already have 12 people watching. Eddie Rodriguez was the first in the chat today. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining in. Of course, a Ben Thomas Show Let's Get Nuts live stream would not be the same without 12-inch Moose Stream here in the chat listening. So he says, hello, community of collectors. Just cleared out 71 inches of floor space against the wall for a Besta. Decided to get Detovs. Scared, but excited. Good luck with that, man. Make sure you take some pictures and share them. I can always throw them on the channel as well if you're proud of the collection. And that goes for anybody. You know, everybody's collection is so vastly different. That I kind of dig getting pictures and seeing what else is out there. For me, I've been doing the Billies, right, from IKEA, and it's interesting with this selling of the house, how many people have come through to say, are the cabinets included with the house or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm like, absolutely not. I am taking these fuckers with me. They were a lot of work. So.
Yeah, man, I've got Billies as well, so I'm quite a big fan of those. So,
For sure. Honestly, it's the Philips light strips that are probably the highest point, like cost point.
Yeah,
of these
with your colours, yeah.
Yeah. So, but either way, you know, I mean, I guess if it got in the way of selling the house, I'd probably.
Yeah, you'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah.
We got Batman_collectibles in the chat. Yo, he says, thanks for joining in. I think is a new subscriber actually, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely appreciate you tuning in. That's awesome. We have Community Arcade. Hello, friends. Love to see you here, buddy. Thanks for joining in. Again, a new name I'm not as familiar with, but we appreciate you being here.
It's always good. Yep.
We have King Dingaling in the chat as well. Of course, a live stream is not a live stream without King Dingaling, so thank you for joining, good sir. Definitely appreciate it. We've got Mr. Mark Pearson, the sweet Mark Pearson. Effing loving this. He's a legend. Thanks for joining in, buddy. Always appreciate you here. He says he's currently grilling. And I haven't had lunch today, so don't be sending me any pictures of any meat on the barbie, because that would be mean. And I don't want to be growling into the microphone. This thing is pretty sensitive. So we've got Absolute Irwin in the chat. Sup, everybody? Good to see you here, buddy. Mark says, job doesn't choose Pete. Pete chooses the job. Very true.
Yeah,
that's very insightful. We've got Mr. Marco from 16fix here in the chat. He says, have a great show, guys. Excited to catch on replay. Marco was not able to join us today because he chose a party over his buddies. Oh. And, you know, like, I thought we were better friends than that. Yeah, he can see it. Last week it was his sister. Yeah. This week it's another party. I'm starting to take it a little personally. I'm not going to lie, but no, I love Marco. If you guys have not already had a chance, also if you're watching on replay or you're a new subscriber, go over and check out 1/6fix on YouTube. He and his wife have some awesome content over there. Always makes me laugh, and honestly, a really good team there. So we've got Peyton23 here in the chat. Hello, fellow collectors. Good to see you, buddy. We've got Thule in the chat. What's up, Ben? And Pete, of course, naturally. And of course, we've got also Kelvin, aka the low-key collector. He says he's on his way to Costco. Sorry he couldn't make it. Hope everyone has a great weekend. You know, the interesting thing about Calvin, though, he always has his earbuds, so you never know when he might still just join the stream anyways. So one of these days we'll get you back, buddy. But thanks for tuning in either way. And we've got, of course, Mr. Lane Kramer here in the chat. He says, hey, this is cool, but where is the American representation on the stream? You know what? They're all having nice, warm, sunny days, whereas I like to sit in my dark basement and talk to nobody. I'm actually pretty antisocial as a person, so I'm just happy to have Pete here. So, and then, of course, we've got Mr. Nix_collectibles here in the chat, and I will go into this in a little bit better detail at the end of the show, guys, but Nick, go over to his YouTube channel as well and check him out. Tonight, he's putting on a wrestling event on his channel between collectors, and this is, I think, the third version he's done now. And I don't know if you've seen any of the screen grabs, Pete.
I watched
awesome.
the second one. I watched the second one. Yeah, it was really good.
Very entertaining. Although my character ended up tapping out, which I'm like, it
was good to see the Collecting Weekly boys, Zach and Dean taking the yeah.
So today it's actually Marco from 16fix and myself. We're tag teaming against Dean and Zach from Collecting Weekly. Clearly we're gonna win. I mean, like, pretty obviously, but you know, it'll be an interesting match, so check that out. That's tonight, so go over and check out Nix_collectibles, and we'll do that one more time before the end of the show. Pete, let's jump into it, good sir. About a week ago, we saw some blurry images of this Captain America suit from the newest show that's coming out. And I wanted to just highlight this because at the time you could only really see kind of from here down. So you got obviously kind of an idea that the suit has changed from what we saw with, you know, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. But I like that we're seeing a little bit more of the full suit now. And I gotta say, as much as I thought that first iteration was pretty cool, I kind of dig this new version. I like that he doesn't have like the weird mask around his cheeks and stuff. Have you had a chance to see this, and are you getting excited or more hyped for this show or film, I should say?
This is a TV show, is it?
So this is the New World Order, so this is actually going to be the newest Captain America film. Featuring him now for the first time as like the Captain America, which is cool.
Right, okay. I didn't realize, to be honest. When's that due out?
I don't know. Somebody in the chat, if you guys can help me. I can't remember exactly when it's aired, but I think it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, either way, right?
So, I quite like the white. I think it you know, it's different. It's a bit like the white Black Widow suit kind of thing. You don't often see a lot of white, but I think it makes sense to go more classic Captain America looks as they kind of try to ingrain him as being, you know, the new Cap, because he's still fairly new kind of thing, and we all know that he is now Captain America, but he's also still Falcon as well. So yeah, I think it should be good.
I think it's interesting because, like, I know that they've teased that the MCU will have kind of another Falcon kind of rise up through the ranks now that he's taken over as Captain America.
Okay.
But I'd be curious to know officially if he's going to still retain his wingsuit, right? Because if he just is Captain America, but he doesn't really have at this point any level of superpower, will he be able to just be Captain America exclusively without that big wing set?
Yes.
I think in terms of the Hot Toys, if we get this iteration of him and he doesn't have those wings anymore, that first version of the Hot Toys is going to end up becoming quite the chase figure.
Yeah, it's a good point, isn't it? Because he hasn't got any, he's not super strong. He hasn't got any superpowers or anything. So yeah, he's very reliant on the tech, isn't he? So yeah, it would. I think it would be silly to lose the wings, but yeah.
It would be silly, but at the same time, I don't know if I'd want to see two characters flying around with the same kind of set of wings.
Yeah,
either. Like it kind of makes him unique. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And in the show, there was a super serum floating around that he was very resistant to taking. But I'd be curious to see that the more responsibility he has, will that pressure? Exactly. Will that pressure mount? So be curious to see. But I'd love to hear what you guys say in the chat. Are you looking forward to this movie? Do you like the new suit? For me, it's a little too close to the Steve Rogers Captain America suit. I feel like they're starting to kind of blend the lines a little bit, whereas I liked his new white suit version better. I think it was more unique to him. So
yeah,
we'll see. But maybe it is just the fact that maybe this is a stealth suit mission, right? Whereas like the the brighter white he can fly around in the day, and the dark he'll have the darker suit. Who knows?
Could be. Yeah.
Pete, I got this next one up. Now, let's be honest here. I think this is probably fake news. Nowadays, you can't sort through anything on Facebook without encountering fake news. But I know you're a pretty big Terminator fan. And, if this happens to be true, if James Cameron is starting to consider doing another Terminator film, is that something you feel like you'd be excited for? Or do you feel like this film set should die at this point and just call it?
Yeah, it kind of lost me after that. I mean, the first two, fantastic classics. Not really a massive fan of anything after that. I mean, obviously, if it is true and it's James Cameron that's attached to it, then obviously that gives it some kudos that the others didn't necessarily. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. And the thing is like, I'm not a big he seems to be Avatar is his like thing now, and however many other films we've got coming out, I'm not a big fan of that. So it'd be good if he is, but as you say, it's difficult to know whether or not it's real
fake
or not.
News or
real. And would it have like what involvement would Arnie have? I mean, I know he's in the picture there because he's just got his new TV show, isn't he? I haven't watched any of it yet. The Fubar.
I haven't seen any of it either, honestly. I do think that it's time for Arnie to retire from the role. I mean, he's getting up there in age himself, right? And some of the last films that he was in, I still think he was some of the best part of those.
Well, that's the
films.
thing. Yeah, he's still,
to be honest.
Yeah.
But like you said, James Cameron carries a pretty hefty name behind him, with some pretty hefty success as well. And so I would still be stoked to see it, but there is that small part of me that's like, okay, I'm ready for some new and original content. And not to say that there isn't original content being made right now for films, let's be honest. There's a lot of movies that are original that I've never even seen. So I can't say that I want only exclusively original content, because it is these returns to what we know and are nostalgic that tend to draw me in too. But I think I'm almost done with the Terminator line. I did lock in, though, the Present Toys Terminator finally. So a couple people after our show a couple weeks ago sent me the link, and I was able to get that. So
all right,
cool.
Yeah. So which one have you got? The standard one or the battle damaged?
I got the battle damaged one. I thought I liked both, but I thought the battle damage was just a little leg up.
We were talking about it on OFAC, and I think Ian's got that one, the battle damage one on pre-order, and I think the head sculpt, the half reveal head sculpt looks better. You know, is better than the standard head sculpt,
For sure.
and I think it kind of you can get away with the likeness not being as on point. So yeah, no, it'd be good. Look forward to seeing that when you get hold of that.
Absolutely. Lane Kramer says James Cameron was attached to the last one. Didn't help at all. I didn't know that, A, but B, I mean, it was still one of the better ones that I've seen in a while because, again, they brought Linda Hamilton back and Arnie in, and, like, there was, again, it hit some nostalgia chords, but I think I'm ready for it to die. So,
Yeah.
on to the next one here, though. This popped up in my feed, and this has been confirmed as actually being accurate from what I can tell. John Wick 5 is in the early works. Again, they're developing the plot around what the new film could look like. Did you see the John Wick 4?
No, I haven't seen John Wick 2, 3, or 4.
Okay, so you're a little behind on it.
Not really a fan.
Okay.
I watched the first one and I thought it was okay, but I think for me, and I know this is the big appeal, it was just a bit too much. Like, it's just full on, you know, gunplay, all this, and it just kind of got a bit like, right, I've had enough of this. I get.
Definitely.
You know, I get that people love it, and I get it's really well made and it's cool. But yeah, I mean, I am gonna probably watch 4 because I've heard that's really good, and so I think I'll watch 4, and then obviously if I enjoy it, then I might go back to the earlier ones. But yeah, I mean, I thought that. I mean, I thought I'd heard that 4 was gonna be the last one, but then they always sneak another one in, don't they?
Well, I mean, anytime a film franchise overall starts to get close to that $1 billion line or crosses it, I mean, at the end of the day, money speaks all languages, right? And like, maybe we could do more.
Yeah.
After 4, they had talked about coming out with a couple new television shows that are kind of spin-offs from John Wick. So like a continental show that's like the hotel that he takes refuge at, as well as one I think it's called The Ballerina, but it's one of the it's like a Russian faction that helps him in 3 or 4. I can't remember which one now. They all start to blend together a little bit. But those are going to be some offshoot shows, which I think is interesting. But without spoiling anything for you, 4 kind of did feel like it concluded this story.
Yeah.
So I'm a little surprised to see it myself. But I was also brand new to John Wick. I'd seen the first one years ago, and then they'd come out with 2 and 3, and I just never got to them. And so right before 4 ended up coming out in theaters, I binge watched them all in one long weekend. I just put them on back to back, which honestly I actually think was the best way to consume it, because I don't know if you realized, Pete, but number 2 and number 3 lead directly into each other. Like timeline wise, like where one ends, 2 picks off, and the same with 3, and so it feels like one large movie. So I would be worried for you to skip to 4, because you might be like, what the heck is even going on at this point?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, there's
sure.
always that risk. So,
but it's a commitment in time, and I read somewhere that it's somewhere in the neighborhood of about 420 deaths, or kills. So and I mean, the majority of those are headshots.
yeah, it's probably got all the records for most kills in a movie now. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's awesome. At the same time, I do get that exhaustion feeling that you're kind of referencing.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like that much action throughout can feel just like exhausting to watch.
Yes, that's the thing. Sometimes you need like the quieter bits and the to kind of highlight the action. But maybe I'll give him another go.
Absolutely. We've got Thalia Meyer here in the chat. Hello and good evening, everyone. Good to see you here. Thanks for joining in. Lane Kramer says, Ballerina is the spin-off. Equan in the chat. Good to see you, buddy. He says, I'm curious how the story allows for a part 5. I mean, let's be honest. Again, if there's money involved, there's always a way. There's always a way. And I don't want to give too much in the way of spoilers because Pete hasn't seen it, but I'm sure there's a way. We didn't fully see how it wraps, right? Fully, anyways. So we'll see how it goes. But I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat below, or everybody watching on a replay. Are you guys excited for John Wick 5, or is this something that you're kind of like, I feel like 4 did it. It wrapped it well. A nice bow on top. I'm good for some spin-offs, and otherwise, let the man retire and do something else. He is getting older and noticeably slower in 4. I thought that there were times where I was like, okay, that guy should have killed him at that point. Like, like I get it, it's very well choreographed, but there are lots of times in the fourth film that I thought he was definitely going to die, and you could see they were pulling some punches a little bit, just a little bit. So it was my only negative, anyways. So moving on though, because I also saw this pop up, and then
cool.
we're going to get into some toy news here, guys. But this is a little teaser poster of the potential Fantastic Four, of course, coming down the line. And I gotta say, I mean, I haven't always loved all of the previous iterations of Fantastic Four. No. I haven't hated them either.
No.
When I was younger, some of those first ones that had come out, I was like, I mean, they were okay. They were some of the only comic book movies available to me at the time. It was that or Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, I should say. Some of those, right? But then they've rebooted it a couple times, and it seems like it's progressively gotten worse.
Yeah.
But there's some stellar casting that's possible, it sounds like, with this. I don't know if you've looked into the casting much.
No, I was going to ask you if they've got anybody attached to it.
So there's been a tease that Margot Robbie may be offered, or has been offered already, the role of Sue Storm. It's not been confirmed if she's taken it yet, but that's been kind of a rumor. As well as Adam Driver in the Mr. Fantastic place. And, you know, as an actor, he's very well known. He's done very well for himself. He's a very unique actor. There's been a lot of films that I've seen with him in it that I feel like were a little bit off the track, not necessarily ones that everybody kind of watches, that have really liked him. But it's curious because I feel like with Fantastic Four being officially, you know, the first Marvel family, it's weird how many times it's taken them to get it right. Yeah. And with Multiverse of Madness recently, you know, we got a chance to see some other universe versions potentially of Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Who did they have? Who was it that played him?
It was John Krasinski from The Office. Okay. And I mean, he was badass. He was fan cast as that role for a long time, right? And so fans kind of got what they wanted. You know, they shoehorned him in for a cameo. But I don't think he's going to come back necessarily as like the Mr. Fantastic. No. So I think we'll probably get an Adam Driver or something along those lines. But Mark Pearson in the chat says, I'd like to see Margot Robbie, but how about someone new? And, you know, that's not entirely untrue too, right? I think sometimes we get so used to seeing the same actors play different roles that we feel like a level of comfort with them because we like some of their other work. But some of the best films I've ever seen contain actors I've never heard of before and end up loving their content. So it remains to be seen. But Pete, would you say that you're excited about this film, or you're kind of like,
yeah, I think so. I like yourself. I didn't mind the first two, the first iteration. I mean, Jessica Alba. I thought that the sort of the reboot one, the second one, was more unknowns, wasn't it? I think they weren't so.
A few more. I think Michael B. Jordan was in that movie though. He was just pretty young at the time.
Yes. Yeah. I thought the worst thing about that was Doom. To be honest, I didn't mind the actors playing the Fantastic Four, but I didn't like Doctor Doom. But yeah, no, I do like the Fantastic Four. So I would definitely be interested in checking this out.
For sure. I'm also really curious, that we don't know more about the X-Men yet, right? I mean, they're teasing Fantastic Four, but I mean, we did see Professor Xavier in Multiverse of Madness. Yep. What about the X-Men? When are we going to get some more teases there? There's a lot that could come. I just hope that fatigue doesn't take over. I recently watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and honestly, I absolutely loved it. I've now seen it in theaters 3 times. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 3 times. Well, with several different groups of friends, but still, I've enjoyed it each time I've watched it.
No, I thought it was great.
And I thought it was one of the best Marvel films since Endgame in that. So, obviously, James Gunn has moved over to DC, so it makes me a little even more excited for what to come for DC. But hopefully Marvel, at least gives us one really good banger of a fantastic film.
Yeah, I think Guardians 3's definitely injected some much needed enthusiasm for me back into Marvel now, because it had been on a bit of a downward curve. So
it's hard to do. You think of how many movies they've made, right? Like,
of course.
It's got to be impossible to feel like
and
everyone
I mean the others weren't. I mean, Multiverse was okay. Quantumania was okay. Just didn't really hit home for me. But yeah, the Guardians, I've always enjoyed those because they've always got good humour. But obviously this one had like some quite sad stuff as well. So it was I think it was well done.
For sure. Peyton23 says, I prefer Adam Driver as Doom, but Mr. Fantastic sounds cool. And I'm interested, that's a great thought. I'm curious if he didn't want to play Doom, because he doesn't want to necessarily get typecast as a bad guy, right? He was Kylo Ren, especially with a mask on. He probably wants to play a character that doesn't necessarily have to wear a mask, or that portrays him as a bad guy. Whereas... Mr. Fantastic, you could tell Adam Driver can rock the nerdy side of things. I feel like he could be convincing as a super genius, but also then as a badass once he has some superpowers. So I think I'd rather still see him as Mr. Fantastic as opposed to seeing him in another kind of villainous role.
Yeah.
But for everybody watching today on live or anybody listening on the replay, definitely let me know your thoughts below. Are you guys excited for the Fantastic Four film? Who do you guys think should play this cast of characters? Do you feel like they should do something other than Doctor Doom or even Silver Surfer or even Galactus? Should they go another direction? Hard to say. I'd be curious to see what another Silver Surfer looks like at this point with today's graphics. And Galactus is a world-ending threat. That's a very cool bad guy if they do it well. So I'll be curious about that. Absolute Irwin says here, casting rumors also includes Henry Cavill as Doctor Doom.
Wow.
Which again, that I could get on board with that because we've seen Henry Cavill in so many hero roles.
Yes, I think that'd be
kind of cool to see him on that other side. I think it was Mission Impossible. I want to say it was called Fallout. I can't remember exactly, where he played kind of like a secret agent that was after Tom Cruise, and he was a bit more of a villainous character in that film. Yeah, and he was badass. It was awesome. So
that's the famous moustache, isn't it? That they had to CGI out of.
Yes.
That's Superman.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Let's
move
on.
Good in that. They had a great fight sequence in the
bathroom.
In the bathroom, yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Picking up sinks and smacking each other with them and stuff like that. Yeah, brilliant.
I saw a picture of Tom Cruise the other day beside some young woman in heels, and I forgot how small of a man Tom Cruise actually is. I know. And it just goes to show you how good editing and camera tricks are when somebody is hulking as Henry Cavill. Yeah, it looks like he's even struggling with somebody as small as Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I know. I know, it's funny.
But that's awesome. No, it's cool. I'd be curious to see him as Doctor Doom. I could see that.
Yeah. This
came up this week, so we finally got some reveals of gameplay footage from Spider-Man 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, for me at least, for PlayStation 5. And I gotta say, holy crap, am I excited for this game, dude. I loved the Spider-Man 1. It was a game that I don't pre-order very many games, but it was a game that on my system on the PS4 I had like the countdown to launch. Like it was, I was so excited. Played the heck out of it, beat it to like 100% completion. It's one of my platinum trophies. And then when the Miles Morales game came out around Christmas, about a year later, I think a year or two later, again, same thing. Played the heck out of that, got the platinum. And now that game, because it's set at Christmas time, it's actually a game I play every Christmas. I can play and beat it in about 16 hours, and it just is kind of a fun way to start bringing in the holidays.
Very cool.
But they had teased this game a while back, and they'd shown a very small snippet of Venom in an alleyway.
Yeah.
And Venom is one of my favorite characters. Obviously, we have a Venom Hot Toys that exists already that does not have that iconic spider logo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the possibility of what this game can give us, not only with gameplay, but also the possibility of some really cool Hot Toys, is getting the juices flowing. I am ready for it. Even if we only got a symbiote suit Spider-Man, I would be happy. But I'm hoping for more. Have you played these games at all, Pete? Has this been something that's come across your desk?
I've played some of the Miles Morales game. I'm kind of I used to game massively. I was always playing gaming, but I think in the last 10 years, kind of other priorities have taken. But I did play when we got my Sonny's PS5 2 years ago, I think. We got the Miles Morales, and I did play it, and I did enjoy what I played of it. So it did look really good, and I mean, obviously Hot Toys rinsed the first movie for figures. I don't know if you know.
Oh yeah,
checked out how many,
So
but there must
many.
have been 10, 15 different ones. So I can't see this being any different. I think you're going to get a load of different suits, and yeah, the symbiote suit would be brilliant.
Well, one of the things that I liked about those figure releases was that they could actually fit in with other like live action Spider-Man film suits as well. Like they fit. They didn't necessarily look animated specific.
No.
Right? Which was cool. And I agree with Absolute Irwin here in the chat. He says Hot Toys will go crazy with releases for this one. Good Spidey line is two. Good Spidey line too. So that's good. I mean, 100%. As I said, if anything, if all we got was a symbiote suit Spider-Man, I'd be happy with that. If we get the kind of classic looking Venom though, the hulking Venom with that spider logo, I gotta say, that would be pretty crazy. I would also say that one thing that I found confusing about the games is for Miles Morales, since you played that one, some of his power set are called Venom powers. Which I think are interesting, because if they now give us a third game that potentially has a Venom character, his powers called Venom powers doesn't really to me seem anything like Venom the character. It's more just kind of what they've called those powers, but it seems like an odd thing to call them, knowing potentially that we would get a Venom in the future.
That the franchise that it sits within, it's a bit a
little odd. A little odd, but again, if you guys haven't checked out the gameplay footage for this game, they've got about 12 minutes posted online right now, and it's pretty freaking sweet. And I mean, people are saying like even the world looks beautiful and everything, but I gotta say, like, the first two games looked amazing as well, especially on the PS5 rendered versions. So I mean, this is obviously not going to be any less. If anything, it'll be better. But I gotta say, I'm really excited about it. And then Eddie Rodriguez here says, aren't they also releasing a new Wolverine game? Oh yeah they are. And again, I am very, very excited about that. There was a video game that I played on PS3, Wolverine game. I can't remember what it was called. It was from one of the films, and though the film wasn't great at the time, it was the one that had Deadpool in it, but not Deadpool as we know him now. It was Deadpool with like I can't remember what that. Wolverine or
it's the Wolverine,
Origins,
isn't it?
The Origins
Wolverine
film.
Origins. That's it.
Yeah. The video game attached to that movie was so violent. You could cut people in half. You could chop their legs off. Like it was badass.
Yeah.
And if they're going to tackle another Wolverine game, they absolutely have to have that level of like dismemberment available. You can't fight somebody with those claws without dismemberment.
No. You know what's going to happen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, X-Men Origins was the game. Such a good game. Worthy of, honestly, like going back and replaying. I replayed it recently up on the upstairs television. Had a great time with it. But let's move on, because we got some news on the Hot Toys front to talk about here as well. So I put up this video on my channel yesterday, this or that, or maybe both. And because obviously we are starting to get quite a few options now when it's coming to
Dude, you got some
Batman.
Big ass hands there.
It does look like I've got big hands. I know. When I was editing
Did
the
Hot
video,
Toys make your hands?
you love to see it. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Wow.
Way she goes.
Massive. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt it.
No, derail the show. Huge Ben hand.
Yeah.
You hate to see it. I've been really excited to see what Hot Toys was going to give us from this film, right? And I mean, they have not disappointed. We teased this image there last week, as well as what, the evolution of Bruce Wayne kind of looks like between the 89 and 92, and then, of course, what we see him to be now. He's getting into his 70s. I mean, he's not a young man anymore. If I could look this good in a Batman suit at 70, I will be extremely happy.
It's funny because that one on the right just doesn't look. I know that is him, but it's funny. I don't know if it's just the angle or not. Yeah, it just doesn't. It doesn't look like him at all. It's weird. And I know,
That's fair.
but yeah.
Good on him for retaining his hair as long as he has, though, because honestly, even in the 89 and 92, he was getting a little thin on top.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously, we've seen him shave his head for things like the Spider-Man film, right? For what his character is Vulture. He looked like a badass in that film.
Yeah.
But I also have been told some people think this is actually a wig. So I'd be curious about that.
It could be, but yeah.
It could be. Because, of course, the Hot Toys representation that we've been solicited this week, the Batman modern suit, has been stirring up some controversy. Do you think this looks like Michael Keaton? Put you in the hot seat here, buddy.
In the cowl, it does. It's different. I think, like a lot of people say, I think the hair is the issue. I don't like the hair. I mean, I haven't looked at a lot of pictures, but I don't think he's. This looks very like pockmarked, like the skin. There's a lot of wrinkles, a lot of almost like the pockmarks, and I don't think he has that. And I think the pictures that some of the other streams have put up, I think he's slightly more. It doesn't look as wrinkled as that. It's almost like he looks too old, but
he looks too old.
Well, yeah. I mean, I like the suit. I really like the suit, and I think the mouthpieces are cool. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's maybe a 7 out of 10. Yeah. See,
he does look like he's a little smoother, maybe, but like.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, he's still getting a little road worn. He's not a young man necessarily anymore. Like this shows a little bit more of his
yeah,
face.
I suppose. Yeah. Oh, well, that one looks really bad, but I think they've overexposed that one. Put it in Photoshop. But,
you hate to see it.
Yeah.
I don't know, Pete.
What do you think?
I don't know. I've got mixed feelings because when I first saw it, so it popped up in my feed on Facebook the other day from Hot Toys.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Facebook is like I'm not a Facebook guy, but the only reason I come on it now I feel like is for collectibles and for like talking to my 67-year-old mother, like. And I was on Facebook the other day, and these guys popped up, or these pictures popped up, and at first I was like, wow, that's awesome. I felt like I could tell that it was Michael Keaton immediately.
Yeah.
Then, of course, you see the streams and the feeds of people doing comparison shots, right? Michael, this picture with Michael Keaton's head sculpt directly beside it, and I have always felt that it never feels all that fair to the sculptors of the figures themselves.
No.
Because of course our face has lots of muscles that change all the time. And it changes the way we look depending on our expression, if we're speaking, or whatever. So to take one captured moment and compare it to another captured moment can be a challenge. But then I started looking a little deeper, and I agree, he does look a little bit road-worn, for sure. I notice his eyebrows don't seem quite as hooked as they do in reality, which I think is a minor miss. Now, his eyebrows have gotten lighter, obviously, because he's older. And he's a human being, so obviously he doesn't always have to have a hooked expression. But I don't know. I would say, to me, now that I've seen comparison photos, that always kills my hype a little bit. At first, I would have said it was a 9.5.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying it's probably closer to an 8, maybe 8.5.
Yeah. The problem is, though, I think even with the greatest Hot Toys head sculpts, if you do put the actor next to it, you just go, oh, actually, it's very much like we fill in the gaps, don't we? So we see the head sculpt and we think that's absolutely bang on because your head says that's what I remember them looking like. As soon as you put an actual photograph, it's always going to make it look less special. So, I don't think this is any different. I think if they just maybe just tone down the pitting a little bit, I think it's pretty good. Maybe the hair could
does
look
looking
a bit more realistic.
Yeah,
a bit thick and a bit flat.
Like chunky.
The paintwork. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, if you rooted this, it would be pretty wispy too. I mean, it's like There's that like happy medium, right? I like what you said though about the mouth plates. So what we've got on the screen here is of course the new modern suit, the 3 faceplate changes, as well as the '89, the re-release that just came out in February, I believe it was, side by side. And I mean, I would say 2 things. I'm happy that they didn't just repaint the existing mouth plates from the '89. Yeah. I like that they're different expressions, and I think all 6 of these definitely look like Michael Keaton in the cowl.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference though? Are you going to buy either of these options? Would you get one, both?
I haven't pre-ordered the '89. I had the original Hot Toys one, and I had the Batmobile and stuff, but I've kind of moved away from that now. And I did have the returns figure as well, which I did prefer. So I won't be buying that, and I think the only one that looks a bit weird, and it's probably just because it's a small picture, is the first one on the '89. He looks a little bit buck-toothed, but it's yeah. I think I would possibly look at getting the new one, but I'd like to see what other suits, because there's going to be loads of suits, and
Definitely.
We've seen like a hall of armor, haven't we? And the fact that they're not just saying this is Batman modern suit, it would be crazy if we didn't see some other versions. And if there is one that's a little bit more, like cloth looking, maybe the grey and the blue a bit more Dark Knight Returns, as absolutely Owen said, the head sculpt is very good for the comic book Batman Dark Knight Returns look. So I want to wait and see what else, because I think that it'd be great if we get some other suits. But I like the figure. I think it's good.
The other thing I'm trying to stay away. Oh, sorry, buddy. You cut out there a little bit.
No, I was just saying I'd be quite happy to have it in my collection, definitely. But I'm going to just wait and see what else comes out, I think, first.
Would it change your mind if the modern suit Batman isn't Bruce Wayne, but is actually Thomas Wayne? The reason I ask that is the animated Flashpoint Paradox film. That film had Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne had died as a kid, and that's why Thomas Wayne ends up taking over the mantle of the Bat.
Okay.
And I think, anyways, this Flash movie has at least taken some notes from the Flashpoint Paradox comic line run, as well as probably some of that film. Do you think that would or should change it for collectors if you're on the fence about having 2 Batmen, but then it's actually technically a slightly different Batman under the suit? Does that make it more easy to justify having another Batman with a similar style outfit? Or do you think you'd have to explain that to people who come into your collection, and it would get annoying, and you'd be like, I don't know.
Probably. Why have you got 2 of the same? It's an old one and a young one. I mean, at least you've got that distinction, haven't you? So
that's right.
No, I like both of them.
Me too.
I'm not buying either of them, but I do like both of them. We have to pick our battles, and I do prefer. The only thing I never really liked about the '89 is the bat symbol. It's overly. I like that they simplified it back for returns, and obviously with this new one as well.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because even the symbol on the chest of the costume didn't match the cover of the film. Like what was on the
exactly. Yeah, you can see it right there. Yeah.
It's right there. Yeah, which I always thought was kind of strange. Especially if like I used to like to draw the bat symbols as a kid. Just
I did all the time. How weird is that?
That is
yeah. Me too.
That's awesome.
Surprisingly difficult to get it perfect.
100%, right? The only other question that I have for you is this cape. So I think it's cool that this looks like it's going to be a possibility. This does remind me, though, a little bit of the Batman Beyond suit that we'd gotten a year or two back, that ended up being very much like a windbreaker material. And I gotta say, because of how it was stored in the box for shipping purposes, when I unfolded that wing suit, it was kind of wrinkly, and I just never looked good to me, so I never used it. But this looks like it might be a slightly nicer material. If you were to get the modern suit, though, do you think you'd have it where he's got it like splayed out like this, or would you rather have like a more of like a stoic looking like cape?
Yeah, I'd have more a menacing kind of straight up and down. I don't know how this would take up a lot of space, and obviously how you gonna whether he's gonna come with like a flight base or not. But no, I would have him just straight up and down with the cape and everything. But yeah, I think this is a bit gimmicky. I don't know that many people would display like this, and obviously,
For sure.
you know, it adds to the cost and stuff like that. So there's often things that you feel that you're paying extra for that you wouldn't ever use, I think, with some of these figures. But
Totally. It's interesting that, with the Batwing from Yoast over at Jazz Inc. I mean, if you had the space, I guess you could have him ejecting out of that as well.
Of course.
Kinda
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
But,
yeah.
way too much space for me, though. I've seen what that looks like on people's bedroom walls and stuff, and I'm like, my goodness, that's huge. So,
Yep, it is massive. Yeah, yeah.
for sure. But, of course, everybody listening currently live as well as on the replay, once again, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Are you guys picking up this version? Are you picking up the 89 version? Are you picking up both? Or are you picking up none of them? I'd love to hear from you guys, because it might help me make my decision. I'm sometimes enabled by other people's choices.
Have you not already got the 89 on pre-order?
I've got the 89 with the gargoyle on pre-order. So because I missed the original 89 suit from years ago. And I was upset by that, to be honest. I really wanted it, and it kept going higher and higher and higher on the aftermarket. So I was happy to see the suit make a return. Speaking of, though, I would also still really like to see a 92 Batsuit reissued and redone. Especially
that was a nice figure.
Well, and especially now that Mars Toys is giving us like the Penguin, and they've teased the Catwoman and stuff. Like, I feel like collectors are going to want to fill that line out, and if Hot Toys is smart, they'll make some money and give us another 92 version. So
I must say, I mean, from a movie point of view, I am excited to see this, but mainly just because of Keaton. I'm not an Ezra Miller fan. I'm not a big fan of the Flash character, but because of Keaton and Batman and stuff, I want to go and see this.
So funny that's the case, that it's a Flash movie, but mine and yours, the biggest draw of that film is for sure the return of Batman. So we'll see how it goes. Let's move on though. This also came up this past week. Now, anybody who follows the Ben Thomas Show channel, they know that I typically cover Hot Toys, X06, and Mondo pretty regularly in terms of videos. And this pre-order window opened up for Sabretooth this week. And I gotta say, like, overall, I think the figure actually looks pretty good. I like the way it looks. It's stylized very well after the 90s television show, and I loved that show as a kid. Super nostalgic. And this line is starting to get pretty big now, pretty deep. We've seen the Wolverine, right? We've seen Sabretooth now. We've seen Magneto. I don't think we've seen Rogue yet. I think we're still waiting on a Rogue. And then this one also popped up today, literally, for pre-order. And of course, this is the Jubilee. Now let me get this out here. Give me 1 second, because I'm going to share quickly the website itself. Let's see. Mondo. Yeah, so as you guys can see here, these are all popped up right now. Of course, we're looking at the Sabretooth. Now, of course, the timed edition, for the timed edition, that ends on June 6th at 11:59 a.m. So if that's something you're interested in, usually the timed editions, Pete, of the Mondo figures just come with some additional accessories, which is pretty good.
What's the helmet or whatever it is there, the white thing? What's that?
I actually don't recognize that helmet. So anybody in the chat, if you guys are huge X-Men fan, remind us where that one is from. But it looks like the exclusive portion here obviously includes the gun, as well as the mouth guard and that additional head sculpt, which is cool. Some people have said his head looks a little too small, but honestly, that's actually pretty representative.
And it's only $15 more. You might as well go for the timed edition if you get in. If you're happy to order before that runs out.
For sure. I would, though, say that I'm not happy seeing some of the prices increase with Mondo here. You know, there was a time where
Yeah.
you could see the Mondo releases coming in the 180 to 185 range.
Right.
For the
Yeah.
exclusive, you were kind of looking at like 205 to 210. I know the cost of things are increasing now, and clearly there's a lot of plastic in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
figure.
Yeah.
But 240 is getting close to Hot Toys prices. It's honestly getting close to that. And for me in Canada here, and I'm sure same with you, by the time I look at customs and some dollar conversions and stuff, this guy comes in closer to $300 all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Which then makes me question again whether I want to go down this line or not. You know, Jubilee here is obviously a noticeably smaller character. And that she's at that 205 price point, which again I think is still relatively reasonable. I love the look of them though. I think that Mondo has absolutely nailed the aesthetic and the color schemes. I think that's really cool. Our buddy Sean Newsby, who also streams on Collecting Weekly occasionally, he's got some of the Wolverines and I think the Magneto as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And he absolutely loves those figures. So I don't know. What do you think, Pete? Is this something that would ever, like, if the price was right, would you ever get into this line?
Yeah, not really. But the thing is, for me, is I don't. I see these sort of things as 6-inch figures. I'm not sure. I mean, I've never had one in hand or anything like that, so don't get me wrong. But I think just because of the look of them and everything, to me they would suit better 1/12 scale, because 1/6 obviously, you know, they've got visible joints, they've got all these sort of things, and I think it's hard for me not to think of these as toys rather than collectible figures. You know, for me, my love of the hobby is, you know, having the soft goods, having the, you know, the realism and everything as well. And these are great and they have their place, but I think I'd rather have these as a 12-inch, sorry, a 1/12 scale collection. You know, be paying like half the price, because I look at that Sabretooth and it reminds me of kind of like the He-Man figures I was buying 40 years ago, kind of thing.
Well, and Mondo's doing He-Man line as well.
Yeah.
You're absolutely
and that's
right.
really
They're
great.
very
I love
similar.
that stuff. But again, I think for me, I'd be happier and more likely to collect possibly the He-Man stuff, because I used to buy that if it was smaller scale and obviously half the price. So yeah, and obviously there's always this criticism of Hot Toys when they bring out something that looks like a scaled up Marvel Legends. Well, that's kind of what this looks like, but for a lot of money. So yeah, not saying I would be interested in, but they look cool, and the He-Man stuff's really good.
Well, and people are absolutely hating the new 2099 Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's been kind of teased, right? For this very reason. The joints are ugly. It looks like a big Marvel Legends, kind of like you just said. I actually think Mondo Toys does a better job of hiding some of those joints within their paint apps, I will say.
They do, but obviously they're not.
They can't be fully gone.
hiding behind the fact that they've got visible joints. Are they? They're
100%.
just
You made a good point too when it comes to like that 7-inch or the 1/12 kind of scale.
Yeah.
Because I've got all of the Batman the Animated Series. I shouldn't say all. I've got about 15 of them of the original animated series figures, and I mean I love Batman the Animated Series. It's one of my favorite shows of all time, and that scale for those guys feels very good, very appropriate. And then of course Mondo has given us their versions of the 6 scale ones, and to be honest, like some of them look like almost identical, where the joints are, some of where the paint wearing is definitely going to happen if you pose them. That was a big complaint that I have with the small scale, was that whenever you bend the joints slowly over time, you actually start to see paint chipping away, and I'd be worried about that with the same with Mondo, and even honestly that 2099 spider suit.
True. Yeah,
but I'm never gonna not cover Mondo here on my show, because I still think they're very cool. And again, the nostalgia for me is like, you know, if I had its own display and probably more money in the bank, let's be honest, and I could justify kind of the cost to dive into the line, I would more. I've got a few people that reach out to me every time a Mondo release comes that are absolutely just stoked to see another one. And as I said to you there earlier, Pete, this Jubilee did just get solicited today. So it's very current news on that one. And it looks like it's limited edition as well. So I'm not seeing a timed window here, though.
I think my other view on it is that, my main focus is obviously 1/6 high-end kind of realistic. But I do like to have, like, desk figures. So I've got a little stormtrooper here. I've got a transformer. And to me, these sort of things would be better suited because they, to actually, I know they're not meant to be played with, and at $240, what have you, but I see these sort of things as things that I might have on my desk and I'll play with and I'll pose and stuff like that because they're built for posing. You've not got restrictions from clothing and stuff like that. And 1/6 is too big to do that, really. It's not really a good size for actually playing with, I think.
Just have it on the desk and just mess
Yeah,
around.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I do like them, but as I say, I'd be more interested in them if they were half the scale. Yeah.
Our buddy Zach from Collecting Weekly says he uses like small figures like that as kind of like a stress relief, like a stress ball.
Yeah.
Instead of playing with a stress ball, he'll take an action figure with him and
Exactly.
play with it and pose it and just have something to kind of hang on to.
Yeah.
And I think probably a lot of people do that, but you're absolutely right. As much like toys as these are, there's absolutely no way I'd walk out of the house with a 6-scale Jubilee to play with at the beach, while
Doesn't
I hang
exactly
out.
fit in your pocket either, does it?
Not so much. So, but I do love them. I think they're beautiful. So I do want to hear from you guys in the chat. It seems like there's a few people here. Big Dog Pound in the chat. Good to see you here, buddy. Says these look badass. I know that there's a lot of folks out there that are excited. So if you're listening on replay or you're in the chat and you're buying these, let me know which ones you have so far. Also, I'd love to see some photos of your collection. If you guys are collectors of Mondo toys, add me on Instagram, send me a couple photos of your collection, and I will feature them on the channel here in a Let's Get Nuts show, because I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so would love to see that.
I think my view would be it's always good to have variety. There's
100%.
you could admire the work they're putting in and everything, and it's I would. There's one Mondo figure I would like, which is they did Creature from the Black Lagoon, 6 scale,
cool.
but it's difficult to get Mondo stuff here. I don't think that you can officially order it. So I've looked on eBay and the prices of them are ridiculous. But maybe one day I'll pick one up, at a reasonable price. But yeah.
Absolutely. Dak Collector says Juggernaut would be cool. I'm not buying Mondo, but they look fun. And I think that's a kind of a consistent thing that we hear too, right? It's some folks just they're cool, but not willing to spend the money. We're victims of selection right now too. When I got into 6-scale collecting, there was still a lot of options, but it was different back then. It was like if you didn't pre-order it, you would typically miss it. There's now so much available and so many releases and announcements every single week. We have whole live streams dedicated to just covering 6-scale news because there is so much.
Yeah, it's an incredible
side
time to be a collector.
100%.
Not the price side of it, but
that's it. You'd get buried by those prices if you weren't careful, right? Not all of us are that fluid, and a lot of us do well. Some of my friends that are in the community are doctors and all of these things, and they still are kind of like, holy cap, where's the cap, Yeah, 100%. Now this one popped up on my feed, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because I have zero interest in buying this figure. I'm not going to lie. I was just really confused by the solicitation photos of this. So we are looking at, if you're listening on audio, the Atlantis Princess. And of course, what's her name? Mera from Aquaman 1. I don't think she's going to end up in Aquaman 2 due to her personal controversies that are out there. And as a person, I have zero desire to pick this actress up for my collection. But I know that people can separate film from the actors in a lot of ways. And
if they want the character,
the character. And, the Aquaman film did do over $1 billion for the first film. A lot of people really loved that movie. And he's been very much lacking companion pieces. If you have an Aquaman figure, especially if you haven't necessarily collected the rest of the Justice League line, he doesn't really have anything to pair him with. I actually think that the likeness on the head sculpt here is pretty good. I can actually see the actress in this sculpt. I'm confused why the hair is so vastly different in color. The one on the left being so red, and then the one on the right being so like blondish brown. She obviously from the film had the more vibrant like red hair. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think Ian said it's to do with the one on the right is from the nightmare bit
The nightmare
of the
scene?
Snyder cut. Yeah.
This scene here.
Because yeah, that's it. Yeah, so it's all subdued and kind of. Yeah, I think I agree. I think I quite like the colourful comic book look, and if you've got the sweet corn Green Giant Aquaman, then they'd pair really well together, I think. And yeah, I think to be honest, it would be very much like if I liked. Yeah, it looks alright. If I wanted it, it wouldn't bother me, all the controversy and stuff that she's been involved in. It's just you're buying, the character to pair with him, and I think it would look quite good. But yeah, I don't like the other. I don't like the brown one too much.
Oh my god! So I was like, "What the hell are you talking about? What is the sweet corn Aquaman?" I thought that was a company name, so I just googled while you were talking sweet corn Aquaman.
Yeah.
And this is what pops up. That's amazing. I 100% see it now.
Yeah. You need the jolly. See, we have the Jolly Green Giant. You know him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where it's from. Yeah. He's
The
sweet corn.
The sweet corn Aquaman. Yeah. I was like, I've never heard of that 6-scale company before. Let me look this up. Yes, not a 6-scale
and then
company.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
but they'd pair well with the Mera, yeah, definitely in that outfit.
You would, yeah, no, 100%. I like. I'm never gonna not see this guy as sweet corn ever again. You've just ruined that look for me. I love it. That's amazing, buddy. Yeah, this is a pass for me. But again, I'd love to hear from the chat. Do you have any desire to collect this actress, or do you actually just like the character representation?
Yeah.
I didn't hate her in the first film, but I didn't really love her either. She didn't necessarily connect with me. And I've heard rumors that they may just cast somebody else in her role.
Right.
Who plays Daenerys Targaryen? What's her name?
Emilia Clarke.
Emilia Clarke. Thank you.
Yeah.
She's wonderful and beautiful. If they put her in that role, I'd be happy as a clam. So we'll see. But yeah, let me know in the chat below, guys. Are you guys gonna get the Atlantis princess? And if you did you want the brown hair version? Clearly she ran out of hair dye in the apocalypse. Or the colored version to go with sweet corn Aquaman?
Yeah.
Let me know.
So that's the dealer's choice, that one, yeah.
Love it. This has stirred up so much controversy. So again, if you are listening on audio, we are looking at the Hot Toys Spider-Man 2099 solicitation photos. Now, one thing I will give this release credit for before we bash the hell out of it is I like that they're giving us rolling eye system on a lot of figures now. And honestly, it looks very seamless with this head sculpt. Like the way that you can roll the eyes in the head, they look perfect. Yeah. They look really good. And the sculpt is, like, at least from from teases I've seen of the film, looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac obviously plays this character. And Oscar Isaac is a Hot Toys collector, like one of us, and the poor man doesn't have his own Hot Toys real life sculpt yet.
No.
Now this figure is kind of like it's not what I wanted it to be. But I would say that the reason for that is, of course, the joints that we're seeing. They're really, really rough. Yeah. You talk about, Mondo looking like scaled up versions of Marvel Legends. I've seen some comparisons of this to the SH Figure Arts version, which I was corrected earlier on. I was on Leal's stream this morning. I thought the Figure Arts ones were cheaper than they are, but even those are actually pretty high in price. But I actually think the SH Figure Arts one looks better. There's more tech detail on the suit. The head sculpt on this one, I think, helps it be the winner if you had to choose. But it makes no sense to me that the aesthetic of this figure does not match the rest of the line. When this popped up in your feed, Pete, what were your initial thoughts? Because I was gaming with Dean the Dream Martin. We were playing some GTA 5, and
Right.
you know that man, when he gets laughing, it's infectious.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
laughed and laughed and laughed into the headset, dude. I couldn't take it. But it obviously was an indication that he's not going to get it, and neither will I. What are your thoughts on this figure?
No, it's just terrible, and for the amount of money we're paying for these, I don't understand it. I mean, obviously, we haven't seen the movie yet. There's a moth coming to attack me. Haven't seen the movie yet, so we don't know like whether we like the cat, you know, what he's like and everything. But yeah, just like those knees. I mean, it's just just everything about it's horrible. Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I'd rather, as much as people, I'd rather, if I wanted him in the display, I'd rather buy the one that they previously brought out from the game, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, I have that picture here. This one.
Oh,
which
yeah.
Suddenly looks like a lot more attractive of a
definitely.
figure, to be honest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like this more, and I honestly think this would look better with the other two versions, the Gwen and
I agree.
the Gwen and the
Yeah,
Miles.
because they've got fabric suits, yeah.
Absolutely.
And with the mask on, they're a little bit cartoony, well, like with the eyes, with the size of the eyes, but they would work with this guy, I think.
Well, because that's the big thing for me with my collection. Part of the reason I haven't gone down the Mondo line is I think my OCD-ness would get in the way of having figures that look like animated with my other like movie realistic.
You'd have
figures.
to have them completely separate, yeah.
Right, but at least the Miles and the Gwen, if you have the mask on, like you said, you can fit those in. Similar to what we were talking about with the Spider-Man video game figures, right?
Yeah, yep.
This one I think would fit better. I did think that there's a possibility with the 2099 suit here that because of the proportions, I mean, I don't know, I don't have the picture, I should have got it, but the guy's got an extremely tight little booty and really like thin legs and a really wide, like really wide. Now I'm conscious of my hand size, by the way. Really large shoulders, and I was like, well, maybe they didn't put the outfit on him because they were having a hard time actually getting it to fit properly, or they would have to come up with a specialized body, so they were kind of just like, heck with it, we'll give them this. But to be honest, I actually think that this hurts their brand a little bit because it doesn't match the aesthetic. It makes, you know, collectors go like, we would have rather just not get it at all. Than this that just doesn't fit. And I know that there are some people out there who are still kind of excited about this. So don't let us making fun of it deter you by any stretch. I am not the boss of your collection. If you think this would look cool in your collection, or you're like our buddy Sean Usby, who has maybe some Mondo figures and stuff, and they can fit that into an animated style collection, I think it could still look cool. But for the price point of over, I think it's $240 plus, that is getting real high. And I would have expected this to be lower in cost, or at least the same equivalent as a Mondo release. But even those Mondos are getting into that 240 range, like we said.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
So
no, definitely not good in my view.
We'll see. I do think that the Gwen as well, like we haven't seen the official release photos of the Gwen yet, but I do think that the Miles looks pretty cool. I really like that they've changed his mask here, the half rolled up mask, to a material as opposed to hard plastic.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's a win, I would say.
Yeah.
And I really like his civilian look. I think that the fact that they've been able to give us different layers in his outfit and not look super like beefy and like puffed out is a win for this figure.
Yeah.
But I missed on the first version, and part of me kind of wants to go back and get that one if it hits bargain bin as opposed to buying this.
Yeah, the first one got a lot of love, and it won a lot of people's figure of the year. Collecting Weekly, it was the figure of the year, and I can I can admire it from a standpoint of it's a decently done figure. It's not something that I would necessarily have in my collection, but I think the first figure was very well done, and this one, like as you say, all the clothing and the different accessories, but then how would you display it? It's difficult to know whether you want it. How you'd want to display it. Almost like you'd need 2 or 3 figures to do all the different looks, and one with the mask and everything. So it's one of those tricky ones where it comes with so much stuff that it, unless you're going to change your display up every few weeks or something, difficult one to know
make the call.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that his hair. I said this on the Lego where they have the ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Looks like that.
looks a bit like
Ice
that.
cream hair.
Yeah, ice cream hair.
Hate to see
So
it.
we got sweet corn Aquaman and ice cream hair Morales.
That's awesome. Jose G. Hernandez says, Ben, have you got the Terminator in yet? I have not got it in yet, but I have got the battle damaged one on order.
Yeah, because that's not out yet, is it?
Not yet. Not yet. Noble Young says here with the Aquaman thing, we don't like you either, Ben. Well, hey, you know what? That's fair. If you feel that way, I can appreciate it. That I'm sure she wouldn't like me either, especially if I don't plan to buy it. So, and City Rider says his hair looks like popcorn. Yeah, kind of. I can see that. I still think, again, last year with regards to the first release of Miles, there was a lot of people saying that was the figure of the year, right? Yeah. And so I still didn't ever buy it. It was still a little high in price, but I have seen that it was deal of the week last week on Sideshow. It's starting to have some reduction in cost. So I think it'll be, one to potentially buy for me going backwards, not necessarily forwards. And this still has a while to come out. So
it was a good point you made about the animated eyes, though. I think they work really well with separate rolling eyeballs. Even more than the realistic, versions. These just look brilliant, and you can
seamless
yeah, exactly. You can and because you accept that there's that slight. Sometimes with the I think they're a lot better now, but they obviously used to be a little bit deeply set, the eyes. But I think they've got round that now. But I think especially with the animated ones, they do look fantastic. Work really well.
I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see what Gwen looks like. It is unfortunate with regards to the 2099 suit, at least for me, and my own desire. Having said that, it's just one figure that'll save my wallet. I can love the movie and not necessarily have to.
Well, there could be tons of stuff coming from this, couldn't there? If it performs well like the first one did.
For sure. Well, like we said earlier, it's a good time to be a DC fan, and it's a really good time to be a Spider-Man fan, because both of those are going to fill up our collections very quickly. In fact, I if I were to make a recommendation for anybody, take it slow. Buy what you really want. Don't necessarily follow the hype train, because it might get overwhelming pretty damn quickly between the game and the Flash film and Spiderverse and all of the things. It could get overwhelming quickly. And I know a lot of people lately have been saying there's kind of a flood of dollars coming out of their bank account lately because a lot of what they've pre-ordered they're now due.
Yeah, there's a lot of catch up from the last couple of years, isn't there? And if you're collecting a certain sort of line of figures, then you've been hit pretty hard recently.
100%.
Well, I'm similar because I'm waiting on my invoice for my battle droid for R2D2 Attack of the Clones, and also when the 3PO hits as well. So they could all come very, very close together. Although I have paid off because they were with Toys Buying Agent, so I have actually paid half up front, so not so bad. But yeah,
definitely. And I always forget to do this. We do have 21 people watching right now. If you have forgotten to hit the like button, if you don't mind, hit it for me. Definitely helps generate some traffic to the show. Always appreciate it. If you're new watching either on the replay, smash the subscribe. Definitely subscribe over to Pete as well at Collecting Weekly there. Those guys definitely appreciate it. And they've given me a platform to be able to speak to all of you lovely folks all the time. We've got one more before the end of the show here, and that is Sylvie from Loki season 1. Now, I will preface this by saying I know there's not a lot of folks out there that loved the show, and I really enjoyed the show. I had a great time with it. I thought it was one of the best Marvel shows so far. There was a couple episodes that I was like, okay, sure, there's a little bit of a filler piece to it, but by the end of this the show with He Who Remains and everything like that, and kind of what this character
Richard
now
E. Grant
represents. The Richard E. Grant stuff.
Dude, that was really cool.
It was awesome, and I like time warping and universe bending science fiction anyways, and so for me that's right up that alley. But would I buy this figure? And that's been kind of the question I've had for myself for the last couple of days, because I think it looks really good. It looks like the actress for sure.
Yeah.
she still feels a little bit like a companion piece to me. And there are so many primary pieces that I want in my collection, even still, that I'm having a harder time justifying companion pieces, despite the fact that she plays a key role in the end of that show and kind of messing up the multiverse. But what are your thoughts on this figure A, Pete? What'd you say?
Yeah. It's not bad. I think I said on OFAT that I think it does her a little bit of an injustice, because I think it makes her look a little bit old, and you know, she's an attractive lady, and I think they've missed that element of it. So she looks a little bit, because I don't think she's only in her like 30s, I think, isn't she? Because she just had a child.
She just had a kid.
She looks here more like she's kind of 40s, 50s. So I think that maybe that's a bit of injustice to her. I think for me, I mean, I got out Marvel a long time ago, although I have dipped my toe back in because I've got the classic suits. Yeah, see, she's looks much younger, I think.
It's close though. She does have a unique face, like almost like an older timey look to her. But
we talk about this quite a lot on OFAC. The thing is that I don't tend to collect stuff from TV shows, because I find that possibly one exception to that might be something like Star Trek. I mean, we're both massive fans of Star Trek, and I think for those, like Next Generation, particularly original series, they're iconic enough that they kind of stand, and obviously they went into movies, but I think especially things like Breaking Bad. I mean, I loved Breaking Bad, but I never really wanted to collect the figures, because I think that there's things like, in 10 years' time, are you going to be going back and thinking, oh, Loki was amazing, or rewatching Loki? I might go back and watch Infinity War and Endgame, things like that. But obviously, for me, my collection is very much rooted in stuff that's standing the test of time, stuff from the 70s, the 80s. I'm not ever going to stop loving it. Whereas it's easy to get caught up on this hype train of stuff, and then you just think, well, in 5 years' time, am I going to really remember Loki, the TV show, or want to go back to it? So, decent figure, but yeah, for me, even if I was collecting Marvel, I don't think I'd feel the need to have her in my collection.
It worries me she'll end up being a bit of a chase figure, though, because people will end up passing. And then she'll go bargain bin for a little bit. Some people will pick her up on the cheap, and then she'll disappear. And then she'll do something badass in season 2 or season 3 if they ever get there.
We've seen it happen time
and
and
then
time
suddenly
again,
it's like, now I need her, now, and it drives up in value. Not a good reason to get her if you don't want her, though. Like, only get her if you want her.
No.
Right?
Well, yes, that's the thing. You buy what you love. Don't buy stuff because you think you might love it in the future.
Yeah.
Because you'll end up spending a lot of money that you probably don't have. So, yeah.
Well, and Marvel likes changing the costumes constantly. I would be not shocked at all if season 2 she looks entirely different, right? Because I mean, she's got a bit of has the ability to wield magic just like Loki, right? So she could just click her fingers probably and look different. It wouldn't take all that much.
Yeah.
So it'll be curious. Yeah. I want to hear from the chat on this one. Is this a companion piece? Is this a primary piece in your collection? Is this something you're planning on getting, or are you waiting on the Bargain Bin Bros, aka Marco's channel over at 16fix? Go check him out. But are you waiting on a bargain bin dollar amount for this figure, or are you willing to pass and see what happens? For me,
so we haven't got any.
Probably pass.
Yeah, so we haven't got anything from Exo6 this week then. I believe they've teased. They might have actually teased a Ruther Khan figure.
Oh yeah.
They put a photo up of just the sleeve of the maroon suit, and I think it's got Kirk's sort of bandings on it. So because they're the ones I want. I want Kirk, Spock, and McCoy in the Ruther Khan suits.
Oh, 100%.
So that would be cool. That would be cool if they're about to announce one of those at least.
Absolutely. I know, we've seen some solicitation of like what the prototypes of those figures look like. And
long time ago,
in Vegas, at the beginning of August.
Vegas.
In Las Vegas, they're having. Apparently, I say Vegas so weird. I'm not sure why. It is what it is. Big hands, weird saying Vegas. Hate to see it.
That's what we love about you, Ben. You know?
There you go.
Quirky.
I say all my shit weird. It's just one of those things. Apparently in Las Vegas Vegas, they're having a Star Trek convention, and I was talking to Anthony 6 Scale Mafia last night because he's going to be helping to represent the Exo 6 booth at the convention this year, and I might try and go. Honestly,
that'd be great. It'd be nice to see some more solicitations.
For sure.
Because I really want those rather calm figures. That for me is enough. Those 3 figures.
Definitely.
Happy. Yeah.
Definitely. Pete, thank you for joining once again, good sir. Of course, again, if you are watching in the back, it is Collecting Weekly. What do you have coming up on your section of the channel here, good sir?
We've got a little mini break at the moment because we were delayed a week with Ian's disintegrating back. Yeah, no, he's alright. He's doing physio and stuff, but he just finding it hard to kind of sit for 2 hours and everything. So we did have a show last week. Check that out if you haven't seen it. And then we're going to kind of go 3 weeks so we can get back onto our schedule because we go opposite with Small Talk. So we'll be back on in just under 3 weeks' time. And we're grinding towards the 100. It'll be episode 94, the next one. So and Small Talk are one behind us, I think. So it's going to be a big celebration summer for Collecting Weekly because we're going to hit some milestones on some of our shows.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I need to update my slide here because I took this picture on the left, I think, a couple weeks ago now.
Yeah, we've got two more since then. So yeah. With the Harry Potter's on the new one.
Yeah, but I've got it saved. I've got it saved in my favorites whenever you guys pop up. Even if I'm just at work or driving,
thanks.
it's always a fun listen. So,
appreciate it, man.
Thanks for joining, man. Definitely appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks to everybody who stuck around all the way to the end of the show. I love you guys. You are awesome. I always appreciate your support. Make sure you check out my episode from yesterday if you haven't, or if you've missed it. The This or That episode on the Batman figure. It's doing pretty well. We will be back next Sunday for another Let's Get Nuts. The only thing that may deter that is, again, I'm in the process of selling my house right now.
Yeah.
And so we get a notification from the realtor only 2 hours before a viewing request. And so I was worried all day today that I was going to get a viewing request at 12:30 and not be able to meet the 3 o'clock time slot. So as of right now, it is scheduled for next Sunday. We will be back. But if for whatever reason it gets delayed, unfortunately, that's the only reason. Can't be streaming with realtors walking through the house.
No, but we will be back at some point. So yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. And then one last thing to cover here is this evening, again, Nix_collectibles channel on YouTube. Go check him out. Myself and Marco are going to be facing off in the ring against Dean the Dream and Zach from Collecting Weekly. And I think that there's obviously going to be a little bit more there as well. I see here it says featuring Will Foxification, Riley Reviews, Calvin Williams, Pop Culture Living Room, Kiko Collects, Feezy Figures, Austin Nicholas, Philip the Fool, Collecting Weekly, and The Ben Thomas Show. And that is, of course, today at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is what my character looks like on the right. Way more jacked than I actually am, so he's gonna have to scale that shit down. I'm gonna go to the gym.
I love
after.
the Marco's brilliant.
It looks exactly like Marco.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, and Dean is a badass,
Dean's
man. In
pretty
the
good.
ring, he's a big boy. He throws people around. So it's a really fun watch. So if you guys have missed it in the past, I know there's still an episode up on his channel from the past episode. But check in tonight live. I'll be in the chat live, rooting for my team here to smash these boys on the left and take the title.
Yeah, take them down.
I appreciate it. But everybody, again, thanks for watching. That concludes today's episode. Pete, I would say we got nuts. I'll catch you next week, good sir. Thanks again.
See you later, mate. Bye.
I'll be back.